So I think the best way to explain about exposure and light and all of that is just to set up a scenario. So this is going to be our scenario that we're in the living room and your family wants you to take the family Christmas card picture, okay? And so we're going to pretend that all, people are standing in front of this. So what exposure is how much light, but exposure is light. That's basically, they kind of go hand in hand. And how you control the amount of exposure is by adjusting your shutter speed, your aperture, and your ISO, okay? So we know that if something's too dark, you can bump down your shutter speed and make it not snap as fast and not shutter, doesn't make that shutter close. It makes the shutter stay open longer. It allows more light to come in. So with aperture, that's your f-stop, that is your depth of field, and we know that the smaller the aperture, like the number of the aperture, the bigger the hole is, it's letting more light into that camera through that hole. So that, by doing that, and then the third thing is adjusting your ISO. And you want to have a higher ISO if it's darker, and if it's really bright outside, you want to lower, because if you have a really high ISO and you're outside and it's bright daylight, it's gonna be way overexposed. So, but this is a good scenario to figure out exposure because we can control some of the things. You can add your flash. That's going to give you more exposure. It's putting more light onto what you were wanting to capture with the camera. So you can adjust your flash. You can turn these lights on. Start there.
Okay.
For your exposure. Then you go in and you can adjust your shutter speed and your aperture. So that's how that would work. So let's do a scenario of this, that if you are shooting in manual, because we're practicing on you bumping up your ability to have more creative control. So you shoot in manual. Right now, your camera is not, it is saying you are in pretty much complete control. And I'm gonna let you do all the work. So you have to really then think, okay, if I wanna take a picture of my family and they're here, is there enough light? No, there's not. So I'm gonna pop my flash. So try that. Pop your flash. Okay. What is your
shutter speed is 1/200.
Okay, that's good.
And the f-stop is 5.6.
Okay. All right. Bump your shutter speed down to 1/160th. 1/160. Okay. And take a picture of me and all of our family. Okay, it's probably going to be.
It looks pretty good to me.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, but now let's add the light.
Still keep the flash on.
Keep the flash on, but see what happens. It may be overexposed. Is it overexposed, or is it when you're inside in the dark room?
It looks like the same.
Okay. A lot of times with the inside stuff, you won't be able to quite tell as much difference because it's just that camera's working to get the light.
But if I adjusted the aperture like a lot up,
Yes.
then the picture's gonna look like really dark.
Dark. That's right.
So
And if
let me
you're-
try that just to like
Just to see.
I
Okay.
put it on F14.
Okay. So say this would be the example of your f-stop. If you wanted to go and let the most light in with that lens, right? I think the lowest you can go is f4, right? Didn't we decide
Yes.
that? So put it all the way down to f4. By scrolling, good. Or you have to push the button while scrolling and press hard. And you can look there, or you can look through your viewfinder too.
I don't really see a difference.
Okay. Okay, so so then if you had what the difference is in the f-stop is, and that's what sometimes you have to actually have real life examples to be able to see the difference. Say, okay, we're all in one straight line. You can be flat at f4, you know, because your depth doesn't have to be that deep.
Yeah.
But say you've got 20 of your family members. So you've got a kid that's here, you've got the grandma over here, and you know, and you've got different depths. If you had your f4, these would be in focus, but back here would be blurry or wouldn't be as crisp because you're not reaching as deep with your aperture. So you're like, I have to have a higher aperture to get it all in, which would, you know, if you had like 5.67, it's usually 7 is like a good average. Like stick with 7, and you know, if you've got a group of people or people are in, you know, stacked, start with 7.
Okay.
And then, you know, if you gotta have that much to get everybody in focus, then you're really gonna be counting on your shutter speed. And with your flash on, you will be able to capture a great family picture where everybody's in focus and there's enough light. But the more light you have, the better and crisper your photo's gonna be.
Right.
But you do want to make sure that you don't overexpose it by having too much light, or you really can never inside have too much light.
Yeah.
But you don't want your settings to be set to where, you know, your shutter speed is 1/160th and your f-stop is 4.5 or, you know, 4, and it just to be way too bright. So in that case, you would bump it up. Just take one stop
Okay. Yeah.
to adjust it.
All right.